Good evening. Hello, crystal lovers. How are we? I hope we're excited. We are going to talk about Moldavite. I'm very excited, so I'm just going to wait for people to come in and roll in before I get into it all. Hello. Good evening. Hello, good evening. How are we all? I hope we're all doing well and I hope we're excited. I hope we've got some notepads ready and we're ready to go in depth into some Moldavite. As I said, I'm just going to wait a couple of minutes, wait for people to roll in. Good evening. Hello, Facebook and Instagram. I've got my intergalactic top on. I've got a little grid in front of me with a whole bunch of Tektite. I'm going to talk about not just Moldavite, but the whole Tektite family. Hello. So we're going to hopefully learn a lot this evening. I've even got my constellation cup. Oh dear. Oh, maths. Sorry, I wish I gave a shit about maths. Sorry. Moldavite's more important. It's all good. This is going to be shared back afterwards anyway, so if you have to leave to go watch Married at First Sight, you can come back and watch it later because I'm going to share it anyway. Alright, looks like we've got a nice little group in. I hope we're all well and I hope we're ready. So, who has been seeing this everywhere? Who has been seeing the whole Moldavite thing blow up everywhere? It's quite a funny thing. So I'm quite blessed in the way that I got into crystals. It was through my mum, through my family. For those that don't know, I got my start in a crystal shop that my mother owns. And during my time, as soon as I started working at that crystal shop, I also started a gemology degree. So I started learning about crystals and minerals very intensely, very quickly, scientifically and spiritually. So I'm a qualified gemologist as well as being a psychic medium and crystal intuitive. So I work with crystals and minerals intuitively, but I also understand the science of how they're formed, where they've come from and why they are what they are. So I like to talk about both together. It's quite an interesting thing, and I think it's one of those things that's, it's a fad, it's jumped on, people are jumping on it and it's hitting a big wave. And honestly, Moldavite has always been like that. Those of you that have been in the spiritual community for longer than 5 minutes know that over a decade ago, a certain gentleman named Mr. Robert Simmons wrote about Moldavite and wrote about it in a way that basically blows smoke up its arse and makes it sound like the most incredible thing that has ever come to this earth, that will ever be on this earth, and that has ever been. He talks about it in positive light, in magical terms. He talks about it like it's this holy grail. He even mentions the holy grail. I have lots of issues with this from the get-go, because the Holy Grail and the obsession with Holy Grail is, again, obsession with the physical, and we lose spiritual when we obsess over physical. Now, Moldavite, in its simplest terms, is what is called an Impactite or a Tektite. So Moldavite formed approximately 14 million years ago. A meteor came down to the Earth and it actually split in two. This meteor hit two impact sites within France and from Germany, and those impact energies then traveled northeast, and that's where you find all of the Moldavite through Czechia or Czechoslovakia or the Czech Republic. The Moldau region is what you call it. There has been talk of the fact that it has been used by Neolithic peoples. There has been connections to the 1800s, and it's been used and faceted in jewelry. So it has a history that predates the modern spiritual thing. But in modern spiritual terms, it is seen as the elixir of everything and the thing that's going to fix everything. Can I say straight away from the get-go, crystals are never going to do that. Crystals aren't here to do that. Crystals are here to aid us in fixing our own lives. They're aiding us in seeing what we need to see, to rectify, to change, to heal, to make better, to release, whatever it is that we need. Crystals and minerals will supplement and sort of guide us as opposed to fixing things for us. And again, it seems that with this modern fad of Moldavite on TikTok and all that sort of stuff, it's being seen as this thing that's going to fix everything, and then these people are having like meltdowns. I'm seeing these videos of generally teenage girls who are basically crying, saying, I've had this for a couple of weeks and it's basically ruining my life. Now, let me tell you energetically about Moldavite, very, very specifically. So Moldavite is pure yang. Yang energy is masculine, it's forceful, it's active, it's proactive, and it's going to make things happen. It is connected through the heart chakra, the crown and above. So whenever anything is green and dark green, it connects to the physical body, it connects to the material world, it connects to the masculine side of us, and it connects to energies that are attached to how we feel and connect to all of these multifaceted issues. So think about in your own life where we have buried emotions, where we have buried things deeply within ourselves, where we are struggling to connect our spiritual body to our physical experience, where we struggle to feel worthy of abundance, where we struggle to feel connection to masculine energy, where we are put off and turned away by these sorts of things. If we struggle with the obsession with the material world, if we have obsession in the material realm and in the material world, Moldavite is going to bring all of this shit up. It's not here to cuddle you. It's not here to be your friend. It's here to be like an army drill sergeant. It's going to yell at you. And it's going to yell at you, and it's going to yell at you, and it's going to yell at you. And you're going to run an obstacle course, and you're going to cry, and you're going to throw up, and you're going to throw up again, and you're going to cry, and you're going to cry, and you're going to throw up, and you're going to push yourself, and then you're going to hit this wall. And hopefully you finish the course, but then you need to rest, you need to recover. Like, it's not here to be a soft thing. It's not here to be a cuddler. It's going to push you. And if you don't like tough love, if you don't respond to tough love energy, if you don't like being yelled at, if you are scared of confronting emotional issues, if you are scared of confronting issues you have connected to obsessions in the material world, it's not for you yet. If you are ready to start connecting to these things, if you know within yourself that it is time to push past the limits that you have held for yourself, if you know that it's time to move and you need that push, this is when Moldavite is helpful. Moldavite is handy. It is formed when a meteorite split into and smashed into the earth. So its energy is going to split things up and smash them into the ground and explode them into the atmosphere, and things will cool down. These are things that mean, like, this is how it's going to bring things up. If you've already dealt with these things, if you're already working on these things, if you're already able to confront these things, Moldavite won't make that go crazy. Moldavite will just help you to see it, understand it, and release it. Does that make sense, everyone? The other things that I want to talk about with Moldavite, so it was a meteorite that formed, that was the formation behind it. But the other thing is there are other tektites that look different to this, and other impactites that look different to this. Moldavite has then gone through what is known as water etching, natural water or hydrothermal etching. Below the Earth's surface, it has had constant flow of water over it, constant flow of emotion and feeling. So it's connected to the ether, it's connected to the earth, it's connected to fire, and it's connected to air. Finally, it is also connected to the element of water. It's connected to the water in the fact that it has spent 14 million years having water flowed over it. And that is why it looks the way it does. And this is why it brings up our emotions, because it's had 14 years worth of that. So it's going to bring up our emotions now. It's going to bring up emotions from karma. It's going to bring up emotions from our parents, from our family, from culture, and it's going to bring up emotions from our past lives. It's so multifaceted and so multidimensional. Literally, we can't expect coming at it from this small perspective of, oh, I found this pretty rock that's going to fix me. I'm going to spend $250, $300 on it. No, straight up, I'm going to say, I don't ever say you shouldn't do or you shouldn't spend money on crystals if you want to. But I will say, spend $250 on a fuckload of tumbled stones and points and natural things that you're going to be able to get so much more from than this one thing that everyone else says is going to be amazing. Perfect. This is one of those things. If you are able to deal with these things, work with it. It's great. I have been forced to deal with trauma my whole life. I've been forced to understand pain and healing and all of this shit. This is why I've been able to work with it. This is the one piece that has stayed with me in my collection, and I've had it since 2013. I got this piece in Amsterdam at a great little gem shop that was near the Rijksmuseum and the Van Gogh Museum. I'd been there with my husband, and we were walking back towards our thing, and this was the thing that came to us, and it was a cool thing then. Like, it's always been an amazing thing. It's always been really, really cool. It just needs to be appreciated for what it is. It needs to be treated as something that is as profound as what it is. I love it. Beautiful, Christina. We do. When they're special, we do. We hold on to them and they keep with us and they stay with us. Absolutely, Moldavite. Drina, if you're not into tough love, don't work with it. If you got the balls, if you got the strength, if you're ready to take it on, do it. If you need a softer version of pushing, work with different stones, work with different energies. They're going to be perfect for you. But you don't need Moldavite just because everyone else is. Think about your own emotional issues. Think about where you sit and how you work with money. Think about how you feel about stuff and feeling safe in the world, and how you feel about men and masculine energy, especially within yourself. If you have issues around any of these things and you are not ready to confront them, Moldavite should stay on the sidelines for a while. However, yeah, it's crazy. People spend so much money on it, and there are so many other crystals that we can work with that are much more affordable, that can do as much for us. So don't ever buy into fads. Research and look into what you like. Look into what responds to you. Go into a crystal shop and be like, okay, that could be interesting. I'm more drawn to that than the Moldavite that they say is amazing. Let yourself be your own guide. And this is also why I like to give as much information about the one mineral and as many as possible as well, is because it's going to hit on lots of different points. It may hit you on one, it may hit you on three, it may hit you on all of them. And this is why, again, we all have to treat crystals individually, because we are individuals and we experience them differently. So don't ever take someone else's experience as fact. Don't ever take someone else's experience as what your experience is going to be. Know that it is instinctual. It is within you. You are aware within. Your guides, your higher self knows what you need. The crystals know what you need. You just have to listen and understand. It's hilarious. And again, this is something that has been a fad thing before, a decade ago. I've seen this. I've worked in a crystal shop, and when people come in, they go, oh my God, Moldavite, I just read about it. I'm like, okay, you've read Robert Simmons. Okay, you've had a look at something and you've gone, okay, this is going to be amazing. I'm sorry, I don't buy into that. I'm not a part of that. I will go, oh yeah, cool, Moldavite's amazing, but what about all of this stuff? Generally, what I will actually show people is Libyan desert glass. Libyan desert glass is my favorite of the Tektites, or the Impactites. Libyan desert glass is twice as old. It's 27 million years old. It comes from the Sahara Desert, and it was renowned and appreciated by the ancient Egyptians. Only the pharaohs could work with Libyan desert glass. Tutankhamun was buried with a scarab carved of Libyan desert glass on his chest plate. Libyan desert glass is exceptional and beautiful, and you can see it's so much softer. It doesn't have the same etching. It has been in the desert for 27 million years. It hasn't had to deal with water. It hasn't had to work on emotion or feeling. Libyan desert glass links our will center, our solar plexus, to our crown chakra and our etheric chakras through the energy of meteorite. So it's actually going to transform the way we lead our lives. It's going to transform the way we shine and put ourselves out there in the world. It's going to make us stand up into the Pharaoh within. This is a much more encouraging Tektite. It's a much more nurturing Tektite because it's allowing us to not have to feel. It's actually letting us use our gut instinct and use our intuition and link them together in a way that we're able to lead our lives and make great decisions. I love Libyan desert glass for those that need to step up into their plate, step up onto the soapbox, step up into the realm that they need to shine. Libyan desert glass is generally the one that I will always direct people to instead, because people think they need to change their lives through here, and the heart is a great thing, but the heart is so multi-layered. If we're able to connect to our solar plexus, if we're able to connect to our thing that makes us shine, because that's what the solar plexus brings out. It's the thing that is us, our pure sun, our pure brightness, our pure yellow. It's all about how we lead, how we shine, how we present ourselves to the world. Libyan desert glass is going to enhance that. It's going to bring it out. It's going to bring enlightened leadership and benevolence. Positive masculinity, not toxic masculinity. It is so powerful in the way that it's going to heal the world around us, because toxic masculinity is something that we're all trying to work on, right? So think about that as something different, something alternative to work for, and also something that's going to be more cost effective, because it is probably going to be a quarter of the price or less of Moldavite. I have several pieces of Libyan desert glass. I absolutely adore it. It is so beautiful in the way that it works. It is warming and generous, and it brings that out within us. It is, as I said, solar. So the lesson that the sun teaches us is that it shines and it does its job, and we are appreciative of it, and then it goes to sleep, and we go to sleep. We are able to live our lives, we're able to shine, we're able to rest, we're able to make great decisions, we're able to look after others, we're able to look after ourselves as well. And this is why I love Libyan desert glass and will recommend it as a crystal to work with. Now, I'm going to talk about a few more Tektites because there's actually shitloads. So I'm going to talk about another Australian one. This is one that lots of people don't know about, and you should, because if you want to work with a feminine Tektite, Darwin glass or Darwinite, she is your friend. So Darwin glass or Darwinite comes from Tasmania. The Darwin crater, many of you will know about. It is a very recent one in the scheme of things, 750,000 years ago. So quite recent in the scheme of meteorites hitting this earth. Darwinite or Darwin glass links us to Gaia and Mother Earth herself. She is a really interesting greeny brown. So she's actually linking the heart chakra through the base and below. So even though we have Tektite energy, we're bringing that high vibration energy, we're bringing it down, heart into the base. So we're actually grounding ourselves into the earth, feeling more connected to Mother Earth, seeing that generous energy that comes from her. We're seeing like the flowers, we're seeing the plants, we're seeing the trees, the grass, the greenery, we're seeing the healthy earth and the nutrients that we get from the brown dirt. All of these things come together with Darwin glass or Darwinite. It's beautiful. It's quite unique. Those in Australia may know of it, and those around the world may not have, because it is quite a uniquely Australian thing. So look up Darwin glass or Darwinite, coming from Tasmania. Again, much more affordable than Moldavite. It could be trickier to access. It could be, and I will say that, but it's beautiful. And those that are Australian, those who want to connect to our own minerals and energies, I highly recommend it too. I really like working with Darwin glass when I need to sit and slow down, when I need to sort of, what's the earth trying to tell me? When I need to tune into seasonality, when I need to tune into being more into what the earth is telling me, Darwin glass is really a beautiful one that helps with that. I would love to get more and to work with more. It's one of those ones. I only have a couple little bits, and they are quite powerful. All Tektites are very powerful. So try looking up Darwin glass or Darwinite for that piece. Polished pieces, Christina, probably, but because it's this sort of greeny brown, I've never really seen it as a polished piece. It's usually just as it is, a little bit rough looking. But you can actually go and collect it. If you go to the national park down in Tasmania, you can actually go and collect it yourself if you find it, which is pretty cool. It is, for me, much more earthy, as I said, than the other Tektites as well. So if you want to get your feet in the ground with a Tektite, that's a really good one. All right, I'm going to talk about probably the most other well-known Tektite, and that's Tibetan Tectite. Tibetan Tectites are, as their name suggests, found across the Tibetan Plateau. Now, my understanding is there has actually been numerous meteorite hits through the Tibetan Plateau, and so these Tibetan Tektites have got quite an interesting multi-layered energy. Tibetan Tektites are generally your darker Tektites. If you shine light through them, quite often you'll get like a Coke, like a fizzy black Coke sort of brown. This is a really amazing set that I was gifted. So it is a natural egg and nest shaped set of Tektite. And I was very, very blessed to be gifted this many, many moons ago when I first started working with crystals. And it really is a great metaphor for how Tibetan Tectite works. So Tibetan Tectite actually links our crown chakra to the base. So this is all about how can we integrate our spirit into the physical? How can we live a spiritual experience here on this plane? That is where Tibetan Tectite comes in. It's got a very Buddhist connection, like the Tibetans do. It's got a very high vibration, but also a very soft, nurturing, grounding feeling. I love Tibetan Tectite. I have more of it than the others, and I find it a great thing if you want to, like, during a day, you want to be on, you want to be thinking really clearly, thinking really cleverly, like really sharply, but also you want to feel good, you want to walk strong, you want to feel stable, you want to feel supported, and you want to move that energy forward. You want to feel that lucky, joyous vibe. This is where Tibetan Tectite is a great piece on its own. Really, really wonderful to work with by itself. I also love it when you're trying to nurture your own spiritual practices, when you're trying to find what works for you with your spirituality, because during our spiritual journey, we all have to figure out what works for us. We all have to figure out what is best for us. And in the way that we go, oh, let's do what that because other people are doing. No, Tibetan Tectite is actually going to say, what works for you? Do you meditate better when you move your body, or do you meditate better when you're sitting and being calm? Some people will be better when they're active. Some people are better when they're relaxed. I have fun, Christina. Enjoy your research. Lovely to see you. I love it because it really is about that integration. And we forget and we find it really hard, I think, to integrate spirit and physical. We live this physical life, you know, we've got jobs, we've got children, we've got bills to pay, we've got family we need to connect with and keep up with. We've got shit going on out there in the world that's, you know, keeping us from, you know, going on holiday. Why don't we connect to ourselves, and how do we make meditation practical? How do we make connecting to our guides and our higher self practical? How do we understand how to live spiritually when you still got to earn a dollar? Tektite, Tibetan Tectite is so good. Moldavite is quite rare, because it does come from one region, and it's relatively protected by the Czech government. But it's not expensive because it's rare. It's expensive because it's controlled, in the same way diamonds are expensive because they're controlled. There are shitloads of diamonds, and they are kept, and there could be more, but they stockpile them. And that is why diamonds are expensive. We could drop the prices of them, but that would ruin the mystique. The same with Moldavite. And it is protected, it is looked after, it is up in price, and it's only going to go up in price more because of fads like TikTok that are going around. So if you want a piece of Moldavite, know that it's going to cost a bit. Know that you're going to have to spend a little bit of money to get it. But also, if you can be patient and wait, maybe the fad will die down and it'll taper off again. But also be really careful, because it's a natural glass, it's easily faked. And it's it becomes quite difficult to differentiate between glass and natural impactite glass. There are a few things that you can look for, and it's like natural breaks. In fake ones, they often cast them from pieces that they have bought and taken, and then cast. So you'll see the lines around them if they're fake. But you can't find it out as easily as you could, say, between a sapphire and a fake sapphire, where if it looked like glass, you know it is, because it's technically both glass. It is actually quite easy to fake and a little bit tricky. For me, there is a lot within the weight. I find real Moldavite heavier because it's got aluminium within the compound. Quite often the glass makers, the fake makers, don't put the aluminium in, so it is lighter. So that is one of the things that you can use. But yes, it's not as rare as it seems. It's just controlled. It's one of those things. So that was digressing into the cost of Moldavites. I did talk briefly about Tibetan Tectite. I want to talk also about, this is one that I want to talk about because it's one that I have found the most amazing connection with. I would argue it's probably going to be one of the rarer Tektites and harder Tektites to find. This is the kind of stuff that collectors like, because collectors are like that. But this is what is from what are called Indochinites. Thailandites and Indochinites come from the regions between Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, and Thailand, Myanmar. Thailandite specifically comes from the north, near Thailand, Myanmar, near the border. And I love Thailandite because it forms in these really interesting globule sort of shapes. It's very feminine, very grounding, and very much about the heartbeat of Pachamama. Very much like Darwin glass, but a bit more fiery, a little bit more energetic, and not as slow and not as connected to the heart. It's more kundalini. It's more bringing that fire up through the base, and then traveling up the spinal column up to the crown, but very feminine. Very, very feminine. I love Thailandite when I need to just feel good about where I'm going and get out of my head. I find Thailandite really helpful. I will generally whack a piece onto my third eye, and it pulls my head down and out of my ass and into the ground, and it helps me relax, and then feel good again. Because I suffer anxiety and depression, my mind is the thing that gets to me, and so it's very important for me to get grounded and to help my head through grounding. So Thailandite is absolutely exceptional. Thailandite is one that you're going to have to look for. You're going to have to search for it. If you struggle, do send me a message, because I may be able to get some, but I don't know how much. It's one of those ones that I said is quite rare, and in my last couple of weeks working in a crystal wholesaler, maybe I can help. So send me a message afterwards. But yes, Thailandite, Indochinites, grounding, fiery energy, but feminine. Gaia, Pachamama, really amazing to work with. Very, very interesting. Ding! We love it. We love it. Oh, that's right. I've got two more to talk about before we finish up. Two more in this realm, and then one more thing that I'm going to add. So, the last couple that I'm going to talk about, there is one thing that they're calling a Tektite, but it's not. I bought a piece because I was very curious about this, and I was really interested energetically about it, and I love it because it's really quite beautiful. And this is what's called Colombianite, because it comes from Colombia, as its name suggests. I'll see if I can show the colouring. You see that? Really beautiful, soft, sort of grey. Really amazing. Oh, blinded myself, that's great. Colombianite is actually an obsidian. So there are a couple of things out there that people call tektites that are actually obsidians. So this is another thing that can trip people up. As a gemologist, I love looking at this sort of stuff, and I like nerd out about it, as well as energetically finding out about it. So Colombianite has actually been known to be used by the native peoples for a long, long time. It's been used for shamanic work and has been loved by shamans over there. And that makes sense because obsidian is very shamanic. Obsidian is amazing at that cutting and purifying and shadow and all of that magic. So, Colombianite, not a tektite, but an obsidian, but still amazing and very, very cool to work with. There's another one that I can't remember the name of. This happens, there's so many out there. That is also has been known to be called a tektite, but it's actually an obsidian, and it's one that's found in North America, but I can't remember the name. I'll have to research and figure that one out. Now, the other thing, because we're talking about meteorites, because we're talking about impactites, why don't we actually look at meteorites? Who has a meteorite, or who has ever worked energetically with a meteorite? The impactites are great because they connect us to that being of outer space, that energy that has come from outer space. But these meteorites are the actual thing that has come from outer space and hit the Earth. These meteorites are those things that then cause impactites. Tektites. But they're fuckloads bigger than this little piece here. I recommend looking up and researching the Gibeon meteorite and pallasite. Pallasite, pallasite meteorites. Pallasite meteorite is metal, and it's got little crystals of peridot or olivine. So it's got natural green windows within metal base, essentially. So look up pallasite meteorite if you really want your mind blown. But meteorites are the thing that has come from outer space. So they connect us to intergalactic energy. They connect us to high vibrations, our spirit guides, our angels, our loved ones, aliens, ETs, all that stuff that's up and out there in the world. It is a thing. It's an amazing thing, and meteorites are generally only appreciated by the scientific and collecting community. But energetically, meteorites are incredible. Meteorites are, for me, they have this balance between fun and serious. They have this balance of feeling almost like the Joker, the Jackal, the trickster, because they bring up things that are serious, but they also bring, for me, humor and joy and fastness, and like it's just all part of it. Like it's kind of all a game almost. I find them to be like, they come, they hit, they do, they change things. Things are meant to change. It's not good, it's not bad. It's just these things are meant to happen. They're meant to change things. How do we react? They are intense. All of these things are not very big. You'll know, like I have crystals that are large and in charge, chunky yet funky. All of my tektites are not very big. All of them, seriously, this is, the biggest ones. And they are, no bigger than my thumb. Tektites, meteorites do not have to be big. They don't have to cost a lot. And I would highly recommend, if you want to work with Moldavite, there are two things that I'm going to talk about that are amazing to help you to work with Moldavite for its best. There are two ways to taper or soften the energy of Moldavite. One is to facet or carve. Now, in this bag is a bag of Moldavite beads with kyanite. So I'm going to be making this into a bracelet. This was gifted to me by an amazing lady who makes bracelets. And she was like, I don't know how big your wrist is. Instead of making you one, I'm going to give you these beads and you can make it yourself. So this has actually got Moldavite beads within. So when you facet or carve Moldavite, you're softening the raggedness. You're softening the rugged, jagged edges, right? All of this etching, all of this, you know, intense energy that's gone over it for 14 million years is essentially being not wiped away, but softened, carved into a clearer energy to then be digested and understood. So faceting and carving Moldavite is an incredible way of being able to digest, understand, take on the energy of Moldavite. The other way, now, I talked about the fact that Moldavite is pure yang energy, masculine energy. How do we balance masculine energy? Well, it's International Women's Day, right? So it's feminine. It's the goddess. And one of the best, most powerful, clarifying goddess energies that exist is the incredible Herkimer Diamond. Who knows about the Herkimer Diamond? Herkimer Diamond is the strongest and clearest form of quartz. It is stronger than normal quartz, and it forms in one area of upstate New York, near Herkimer. You will find what are called Pakimers that come from Pakistan, and they're not quite the same. So Herkimer Diamond, as I said, is the purest, clearest form of quartz, pure feminine energy, divine feminine energy. When we have divine feminine energy with this powerful masculine energy, we have yin and yang. We have balance, we have harmony. So we are able to, with clarity, with understanding, with peace of mind, we are able to digest and understand and appreciate all of the craziness that the Moldavite is bringing up. Because you've got the nurturing, pure goddess, mother energy that Herkimer Diamond is bringing. Right? Does that make sense? I'll show you my special Herkimer. This is a golden healer Herkimer cluster. And this is one of my most prized pieces. This is very big for a Herkimer Diamond. Like, generally you find Herkimer Diamonds that are this big and they're powerful and they are amazing and they are so amazing to work with. Obviously, I'm a bit of a greedy bastard and sometimes I like big pieces. Herkimer Diamond is fine. Yep, Herkimer Diamond, because it's feminine, the ocean's super feminine, Herkimer Diamond is great for the ocean. Because it's a quartz though, storm element is its element and how you cleanse it, and the beach is earth, wind, fire, water, and air. So it is like the same thing. I know, isn't this amazing? I love this piece of Herkimer. It helps me to really do the work I need to do. It brings through, when I'm working, this piece is always going to be in front of me. It's always going to be with me because it helps me to bring a clear connection to my guides, bring a clear connection to your guides, bring that information through with as much clarity as possible. So that's it. That's all my information on Moldavite. I hope we're feeling better about it. I hope it makes sense. I hope we're feeling clear and understanding that, you know, Moldavite's amazing, but there's so much more. Moldavite's amazing, but there are different ways that we can work with it and understand how it's going to work with us. And there are other Tektites and Impactites that we can play with. Any questions? While we're here, while we're chatting, any questions at all? I'm happy to hang out for a bit and answer some questions about Moldavite. Or any of the other Tektites or anything. Happy to. I needed to make sure all of this was cleared up. I'm all about giving as much information as possible so that you guys can make the best decisions for yourself. And when stuff comes up and it's all and there's no clarity behind it, it frustrates me because I've got a bit of a moral compass. Oh, you're welcome. No worries at all. Now that I have more time and energy to dedicate to providing content for you guys, I would love to be able to bring more information like this out. You're so welcome. And as I said, if you caught the end of this or you haven't watched the whole way through, I'm going to share it back. So it's going to be on my IGTV feed on Instagram. It's going to be on my wall on Facebook. So you can watch it back. You can share it. You can tag your friends. Let them all know. Show it around so that they can understand this as well. I don't care about charging people for this. I don't care about this making money off this. I care about people knowing the information. I care about this going out to people and people understanding how to work with crystals at their best, especially something that is so dramatic in the way it works. What's the craziest experience I've had with Moldavite? I actually had a pendant when I first started working with Moldavite, and I had this big confrontation with myself and big confrontation with my own emotions and my own feelings. And I had this mini tanty at a train station, and it fell out of its casing. It literally fell out, and it landed in my shoe, which was quite funny because it was like, get out of your head and just ground yourself. It was quite quick. But I also think finding this piece on my travels, finding this incredible piece whilst traveling was pretty amazing, because I'd already worked with that piece that had fallen. And yeah, that one. Whew. Moldavite Incense. Okay. Moldavite Incense I love to meditate with. My favorite way to meditate with Moldavite Incense, I've worked with this before, is with a bath. Or with a shower, or with being in a pool or spa, being with water, because again, it's masculine and fiery and strong. By working with something soft, you're able to bring a softer energy to it. So meditate with it in the evening, meditate with it with some Herkimer Diamond or some quartz if you can, but have yourself in a bath or in a shower and ask the energy to work with you in that way. I find it very easy to find that peace within the intensity. I recommend that. And it's quite a soft way of working with it, actually. It's quite a it's not as crazy, actually. It's quite, basically, whenever I don't bath often, I very rarely bath, and I can't even at the moment. But the last one that I had, and when I did, I would put on some Moldavite incense. I would have some mood lighting, if possible, candlelight, and I would set up a little crystal grid, and it will always have Herkimer Diamond and quartz in it. Don't put anything like selenite in your bathroom, please, because it will disintegrate because of the water and the moisture. But if you can have sort of mood lighting, you can have the incense going, maybe even a bit of music if you're into it, and that's a nice way of working. Very interesting, okay. So yeah, try meditating with it, with water in the bath. But yeah, I recommend, if you're going to get a piece of Moldavite, also get a piece of Herkimer Diamond. But try also working with Rainbow Moonstone, Larimar, Ocean Jasper. Any of these feminine stones will help it. But Herkimer Diamond, because it brings clarity, that's its MO. It's really about helping us to find clarity for anything, especially spiritual information. They're really a beautiful pair. So yeah. Any more questions on Moldavite or the other Tektites? I have no idea what time it is. Oh, we're not doing too badly. Any questions at all? Otherwise, I will let you all go and relax and enjoy your evenings. You're very welcome. Absolute pleasure. Absolute pleasure. love talking about crystals. I love getting the information out there. I love being able to empower people to work with them at their best and get the most out of them as well. So always happy to share information, and you guys know I like to talk. Herkimer Diamonds, so intense. They are really, really quite powerful things. So you only need a little one to work with them. But again, it's one of those things. If you find it intense, maybe you're not meant to work with it. We don't all have to work with all crystals. You work with what works for you. That's it. Yeah, UV light will definitely hit it again because of those inclusions. Because of what is in natural Moldavite or real Moldavite that isn't in glass, the fake stuff, yeah, it can come up with the UV. Because of the green, generally things that go green are things like chromium, vanadium, nickel. These things will react to UV light. You're very welcome. You're very welcome. Absolute pleasure, everyone. And as I said, feel free to share it to your friends, tag them and get them involved, show them what's going on. Let's spread the message, spread the love around, and, you know, make sure we all understand this thing. You're very welcome. I'm glad to teach and guide and show and help people to understand that these are tools that are going to help us. They're not going to fix everything. No crystal's going to fix everything, but these things are definitely going to help us. Yes, always radiate towards what works with you. Absolutely. Absolutely. Cool. It's been a pleasure and not a chore. I hope you all have a wonderful evening. I hope you all look after yourselves. I hope you all digest all of this information and help it make sense to you. And if you have Moldavite, you're able to work with it better. I would love to let me know your experiences with them. Send me a message. Let me know what you've experienced from it after what I've taught you and before. If there's any more questions, feel free to send them to me. Otherwise, yeah, have a great evening. Namaste. Stay safe and stay sane. Look after yourself, everyone, and lots of love. Peace out.